Hey, it's Ariel Posen, and in this special live band edition of In the Jam, I've brought my band for you to jam with. We have Julian Bradford on the bass, Jon Smith on the drums, and me on guitar. Jam with us over 10 grooves across a variety of feels. For this special project, I've recorded separate rhythm and lead parts so you can hop in and be the fourth member of our band. Using the player's controls, you can select whichever part you'd like to view, and you can mix, mute, or solo any of the tracks. So whichever instrument you play, you can take that part out and jump in the jam with us. Guitar and bass parts are tabbed, notated, and synced to the video performance, and you can loop or slow down the playback to learn at your own pace. We'll give you commentary on our approaches for each feel and how we react to each other in a live setting, as well as interview segments that explore topics like being a band, writing and recording songs, and how we interpret fully produced records for a live trio situation. So grab your instrument and join us.
All right, what's going on, fire starters? We have another great TrueFire live stream for you today. Today is a good old-fashioned Canadian threesome. We've got the legendary Ariel Posen on, we've got Jon Smith, and we got Julian Bradford. But before we get to them, a few things we want to go over. If you have any questions for Ariel and the team, please leave your questions down in the comments, down in the chat. Also, chime in with where you're viewing from. We'd love to check it out, and we'd love to shout out where your hometown is. But first and foremost, we got to let in the man with the plan. You know him as the guy that pronounces the H in what? It's Jeffrey Sheets. Jeff, how you doing tonight?
What? I'm telling you, what? I'm doing great, Shane. How about yourself, man? You doing good?
Not so bad, you know, just
awesome. Well, I'm doing excellent, and I'm so excited because we've got not only Ariel, which is great all by itself, but we've got the whole band here today. And I think that's something that, you know, we don't usually get a chat with the whole band, but when we do these in the jams with the band, it's just some pretty neat stuff. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that. But yeah, if you've got questions, post them in the chat, and we'll jump into those and get to some questions. We'll also talk a little bit about the In the Jam. If you're not familiar with that, we'll talk about that. Ariel has a lot of courses at TrueFire, but we're going to talk about the In the Jam. But before I do that, let's go ahead and bring Ariel and the boys on, shall we? Come on, guys, jump in here. Ariel, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Julian, good to see you guys here. And you guys are from chilly Canada right now. It's pretty cold up there, right?
Well, for us, not so much, but for the average, you know, it's pretty bad for the average non-Canadian. No, it's actually pretty cold.
Yeah, you were showing some photos of some snow happening, so I know it's you got some snow going on anyway right now.
Yeah, we're getting it pretty good.
Well, are you touring right now, or are you sort of hanging out and getting ready to tour?
There's a little tour coming up in March. I guess you could say we're in the down period, though, working on a new record, working on new music, which is always fun, and always excited, you know, to get back out there. But until then, gotta finish this new music, and then we'll see everybody soon. You gotta have a balance of both, you know.
Absolutely. Well, why don't you? I mean, we introduced your band, but why don't you do a proper introduction of the band? How's that sound? Because you know, we're excited to have everybody here. So maybe give us a little inside info on these cats.
Well, if you're watching this video and you've been following along for a long time, you recognize this guy and. Oh, I'm reversed. This guy. We have all the way from Winnipeg, Manitoba on the bass, Julian Bradford over here. Yeah. I'm used to saying that, and there's usually an applause, so I was waiting for that. Yeah. And then from Brandon, Manitoba here, 2 hours west of Winnipeg on the drums, we have Mr. Jon Smith. The boys. Yeah, it was very fun. Like you said, we've done a bunch of TrueFire courses. Grateful to have a nice relationship with you guys. I always love coming down and doing all this stuff. even though Jeff, I know we haven't actually met ever in person yet, even in Florida, but
It's crazy.
yeah, it's crazy.
We talk all the time and we
talk.
plan things and
Yeah.
feel like we're best friends. And then I
Yeah.
don't live in Florida. So
That's right.
you fly right over me and go down to Florida and do
Yeah.
the recording. So,
No,
but we get it done on the front end.
That's right. It's always such a pleasure. And we had a really good time. I don't want to speak for the guys. They'll say what they thought, but it was so much fun to get to bring them down and I don't know, share that experience together. It was very collaborative and I loved it. It was fun. I think it comes across in the actual course itself.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, I think that I definitely think it comes across there, and the live aspect of it is what's fun, within the jam. If some of you don't know, the In the Jam player, and you're maybe used to our normal TrueFire courses, the In the Jam player is really unique because you can actually mix the band yourself. You can change video views from just watching, Jon on the drums. You can just watch the guitar. You can mute things. You can just you can mute all the guitar, just play along with the bass and drums. You can adjust the volume. There's just a lot of really cool things that you can do. There's all these different performances that you can pull up and indeed get yourself in the jam with the band. If you want to play the guitar parts, we've got those all tabbed out. So it's a really cool way to learn, but also just to experiment and jam. I think that's probably one of the coolest things is that the freedom to kind of do what you want in there. You can just jam along with nothing but drums. You can just solo the guitar parts. So you can really hear what's going on with the guitar. So I think that's what makes the In the Jam player, super unique, and especially got the whole band in there.
But also, I mean, I know like all the guitar stuff is tabbed out, but for the bass players and the drummers, as you can see on the screen, like you can literally see what Jon's feet are doing. You see what his hands are doing. There is so much amazing playing from these guys to take away from on these tracks. So like there's a little bit for everybody. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, but you guys do a little commentary about talking about your parts too, which is
that's right.
That's super cool, right? Because we sort of get to see, what's Jon thinking during this part, What are you thinking during that part, Jon?
Not a lot, generally.
No, I love the commentary stuff because it really does give you a little bit of insight into, something maybe, whenever you go see a band, you always would like to just stop and ask somebody, ask the drummer, what did you do right there? Or the bass player, when they do a really cool lick, it's like, hey, where did you come up with that? Or how did that come about? And you can't. So this is sort of a way where, you guys were able to kind of go back, listen to the tracks and, and have some fun with it,
No, it's fun. But also like what these guys are playing on here and what they just normally play, it's so beyond even like they don't even again, like I feel like they didn't even remember what they did. They just like it's like breathing. They're just doing their thing and just having to like we listen back and be like, oh yeah, I did that. Oh yeah, really interesting. I just love those kind of reactions.
Yeah. No, that's great.
It's just so natural. Like they're so natural that I don't know. We could all be taken back and surprised by things that are played, or I don't know. It's really fun.
That is awesome. So Ariel, we've got some questions too. So we're going to get to some questions. We got a lot of people tuning in here and tuning in from all over the place.
Nice.
But I'm going to throw some questions out here from the audience. This one is, we all go through creative ups and downs. How do you conjure the muse when you encounter a dry spell in writing? What do you do to reignite that?
Well, for me, I think it's different for everybody, but I can only write seasonally. Like when we're on tour or when there's an album and there's a lot of promotion and we're just like in the campaign or the cycle of something, I tend to have a really hard time writing, or just, I'll get ideas on stage or at a sound check or messing around. But like actually sitting down and having a session and writing a song is very tough for me if I'm not in that writing season mode. So I don't know, to give you an example, 2023, we toured all year because there was my last record came out, and January 1st, 2024, we still toured quite a bit last year, but it was a lot less. And my plan was time for the next record. So like I made a point of getting into that mindset and always writing. So I feel like a balance between that is important. And that being said, even when I'm in that mode, I get burnt out a lot, or I just don't have ideas. And often it's just a matter of walking away, stopping for a minute and not writing. And then you come back a little fresher, hopefully. And if you don't, you just keep at it. It'll come back, you know?
Yeah. Good advice. Good advice. Someone else says they've been a fan, love the courses and all your music. Share your music as many people as I know, with as many people as I know. When it comes to all those target notes, because you've got several courses on target notes, are you thinking about that when you're playing? So when you're playing, are you thinking about target notes, or how does that factor in?
I'm thinking about it, and I'm not thinking about it. When I'm playing, I'm just trying to let it happen. That being said, yeah, I've spent time with the stuff I've taught in these courses, and I stand by those things, but I've tried to spend so much time with them that they just have become part of the subconsciousness. But there's a lot of times I'm still actively like, oh, I could highlight the third or the root or the fifth. Absolutely. Yeah. I could have answered that really quickly and just said, yes. Yeah, I do.
That's not nearly as much fun. So no, we appreciate the details.
I'd be curious, Julian, though, because also a melody instrument. Do you think when you're playing melody and notes?
I try, honestly, to echo what Jon said, I try kind of not to think too much about anything.
Yeah.
If I really know the song very well, then ideally I'm not really thinking.
Yeah, the idea is kind of
helpful answer, but
no, it's a good answer. And I think the idea is do the thinking beforehand, do the thinking as you're learning and trying to figure it all out to hopefully then be able to, not have to, think about it on the fly when you're actually doing it, right?
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So what, another question, what artists have had the biggest impact on your playing style, Ariel?
Oh my God. There definitely isn't one. Everything I've ever listened to, anyone I've ever played with, that includes these guys, have rubbed off on me in a way where I've been influenced and I've taken a piece of what I consider something as useful or great or memorable or just something that I want. It's like literally everything, but I actually can't pick one. I hate these questions because I just can't pick one. Literally I was watching the Fire Aid show a couple nights ago, and like every band or every second band is like a band I either grew up listening to or still love listening to. And basically every band or artist was like, yep, that's had a huge part of my musical upbringing. I don't know, No,
it's great. That's, hey, that's how you can be the most well-rounded. So let's listen to one of these tracks you guys laid down. That'll be a good way to pull out some influence there. And so let's see if we can hear your influence here. If Tommy can roll one of these performances that you guys do that are on the In the Jam, where you do the performance.
All right. Woo!
Yeah.
Whoa.
Very nice. Very nice. You guys
Very
sounded
nice.
awesome. Sounded very good. Very nice. Very nice.
I mean, I think for the soloists who want to watch or get this course, like I could just mute the guitar and just play to play to what these guys are doing.
well,
so
I mean,
fun.
that is kind of the beauty. Someone asked if you know if this is for beginners, and you know, I find the interesting thing is these in the jams can be used by a lot of different people, right? It can be a simple jam, you know, and then if you want to go deep and learn some of the awesome lines that you're playing, you can do that. You can pick up licks here and there. You can just jam along with bass and drums. So it's kind of cool to be able to do either, basically.
My favorite thing about this is that like I know we've done a handful of courses. I want to say like 4 or 5 already or whatever, a lot.
5, yeah.
And the toughest thing has always been because we always record tracks beforehand, and it's really tough making a track build when it's, you know, basically with the band, I'll always just like play with them and or give direction, and we try to build it as much as we can. But it does, like, this is the most authentic live kind of building that a band can do. Like it's as real as it gets.
Yeah.
And I feel like people will feel that, like it just gives you opportunity to keep building your solos or building your improv, whatever it is you're doing. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, this is as live as it gets, indeed. How much when you're doing these tracks, how much was improv? How much did you work out for things as far as the songs structure and what you were playing?
I don't think we planned anything. and the reason was because I just trust these guys. Like that I could,
yeah,
you could just say, hey guys, F sharp minor to A, B minor to D. Let's just do like I mean, like they know I'm to the average musician, me going like, how about like a any other drummer might be like, okay, whatever. But John's like, yeah, I know what you mean. and it's just you could throw anything at them and like it's good to go. So yeah, it was all we came up with everything as we went, and I feel like there's something fun about that because we were kind of figuring it out as we went.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's great.
Yeah, love it, love it. That's why it's called In the Jam, because it's a
Yes.
jam. You guys were jamming, so excellent. Couple more questions, and here's kind of an interesting question. Curious how you think about songwriting and releasing music in the streaming age. Do you still think and write in terms of a cohesive album, or do you think more in terms of, one-offs or projects or that kind of a thing?
Yeah, I was having this discussion in a meeting this morning. It's I think I'm old school. I think I like listening to a record still. I don't know about you guys, but I like a record that's a cohesive experience, cohesive listening experience. And we live in a time now where there's just less attention span for everything. And everything's going to evolve. Everything's going to keep changing and always be different from how we knew it at one point. And unfortunately, where we're at now is just, you pour your heart and soul into like 10 songs on a record or 12 songs. And then you're always going to find those last few songs on the record maybe don't get as much love as the first few do, just because the nature of how people listen to things. It's just how it is. So I definitely keep it in mind when picking singles, when pacing, like doing the track listing for a record. But at the end of the day, I still stick to the cohesiveness of like a listening experience front to back, because I know a lot of people still buy vinyl and whatnot, and they actually still listen to it like we all used to. And I think I'll stick to that still. Although I recognize that it evolves and like you have to mold to how it's going to go. And, singles can be just as valuable and important as a full album release. In fact, they're more important these days, but it's all good.
Yeah,
It's always gonna keep changing.
it for sure is. And I think that's a good question. Definitely things are different. We look at the courses that you've done and the courses at TrueFire, even that's different than when we learned how to play guitar. We didn't have these opportunities,
Man.
and all these
Yeah.
tools and the slow-mo and the tab sync and all the different things, the looping and all the crazy stuff that now it's like, it's much easier to learn different things, and we present it in different ways, and that will keep changing too, so it's always going to keep evolving. We've got some special things we do around here with one of our special guys, and that would be Shane. I believe we're going to bring Shane on and do a little bit of a fun segment. Because that's what Shane does. That's what we call bringing the fun.
I'm the fun guy.
Fun guy.
Come on, Shane. Let's see what you got, man.
So prior to the stream starting, we were talking about the Grammys and we're talking about the hip hop of all things. But I was curious, the genre that you sort of dabble in is, I guess, what we call maybe modern blues.
I always call it roots rock.
Roots rock, okay.
Yeah.
But have you guys ever like just been jamming and say, let's try something different? Let's play around and like make some death metal. Let's see how that sounds, even if it's just jokingly. Or if you're like, hey, this Wu-Tang instrumental, and you start playing that. Earlier I saw Julian out with the upright bass.
Oh yeah.
Done anything like that? What have you played? What is it that you kind of you're jamming and something comes along? What artists are piquing your curiosity?
I mean, maybe when we're sound checking, sometimes we mess around, hey? And play stuff.
Anything in particular?
No, not off the top of my head, but I think we sometimes
something a little groovy.
I don't know.
Yeah.
John, you said what are the specific things we play?
Isn't the grooves one of in the jam? Well, I was just thinking of one of the grooves in the jam. It was similar to a Kendrick song, wasn't it? I think we're all.
Oh yeah.
King Kunta, and like it's obviously we're playing it as a trio, but worth sort of thinking about that. So I guess like there's the hip influence and
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like we all
It's cool that it's like
listen to.
Yeah,
it's kind of subconsciously in there, I guess.
So it feels like you take from a bunch of different things, and not just the world that you play within. And I think that's really cool. Like to hear you spit a bar from Not Like Us. That'd be hilarious. You guys can beatbox there. And really, the only other question I have for you is how do you convert Celsius to Fahrenheit? Because I'm a dumb American and I just don't know.
I don't know.
We don't.
For me, Celsius is just an energy drink.
The only Fahrenheit thing I know is that when I'm in a hotel, I try to set it to like 68 or 70, and that's all I know. That's like where it's comfortable, and then I know that like 85 to 90, then it starts getting like really hot. That's what you guys are used to.
One more genuine question is do you guys find any culture shock? I know there's a lot of crossover between the two places. We're very much siblings. But have you gone anywhere within the States where you're like, there's a bit of a culture shock?
Nah.
No. Well then.
Actually,
I'm throwing it back to Jeff Sheets.
No. No. What do you guys think? Rendering. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't think of
really.
anything aside from just like being somewhere where the climate is way warmer than ours and just being like, wow, life would be really different to live here kind of thing. But I can't think of like culture shock that comes to mind.
Never like a midnight craving for poutine and all you get is chicken nuggets?
No, because we can get chicken nuggets just as easily too at any time.
I don't know if I've ever had a midnight craving for poutine.
Yeah.
To be fair, my knowledge of Canadian cuisine is very, very limited. It's poutine and maple syrup.
Yeah.
I think I know what my one culture shock thing would be. I think the culture shock is how little everyone doesn't know, or how little most people know about Canada, or like think we're so different.
Mm-hmm.
That's what always boggles my mind.
I can understand. I mean, I am clearly that person here. I just asked you if you ate moose meat. All right.
I have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You guys don't?
You haven't?
I have not yet. I've had a rattlesnake.
You haven't lived until you've had rattlesnake. Wow.
What does that taste like?
Chicken.
Like it does. It literally tastes like chicken.
Why does everything taste like chicken?
Oh, there's a very close lineage between reptiles and birds. To answer that question specifically.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
But enough about me and my random knowledge of the different flavors of meat. Throwing it back to Jeffrey Sheets.
Right. All right. Well, thank you, Shane. Always good to drive in the ditch for a while. Now we're going to pull her right back on the road and get back to some music. So let's listen to another tune. Tommy's got another tune pulled up. There's so many great tunes in the jam. Let's listen to a tune.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
That
So
one might. Sorry. No,
Yeah,
no,
I was
go
gonna say
ahead.
that's that whole slide thing's got just a different groove to that tune, right? That just gives it a different kind of mood. How do you come up with something like that?
Well, that I know we just talked about coming up with all these songs on the spot, and we did. But that one, I mean, that one's called "Broken," because it's a variation of a song that we play of mine called "Broken But I'm Fine." So that groove that the guys are playing, the rum, boom, 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 is part of a song that does exist, but we just looped a slightly different chord progression with it, and it just made in the moment for like this slidey kind of dirty vibe. Fun. You don't have to play it that way.
Yeah.
That's just what I chose to do. But yeah, it's fun. Definitely a fun groove to play on. Different, you know?
Yeah, very, very cool. We got a question coming in for Julian. What is Julian using on that track?
Yes, so it's an octave pedal and then some delay. I can't remember which delay I was using. I started recently using the one inside the HX Stomp, which does like 8 notes repeating at a time. So it really kind of has that synth, that gated synth thing. I might have been using, I can't remember, but yeah, definitely like an octave and delay, like a repeating note delay, single note delay.
Right. Very
I
cool.
jam of the song, and then I just play one note. Does the rest.
Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Someone's asking, do you have a favorite key that you would like to play in? Do you have what would be your favorite key, Ariel, to jam in?
Maybe G. I don't know. It depends. Like for a guitar player, it's just like I feel like E and G and A are sweet guitar keys. Anything sharp or flat is fun too, but it's not as intuitive. You don't have as much open stuff, you know.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Can't go
John?
wrong with G.
Yeah.
John, what's your favorite key?
What? What's that?
No way.
What?
So I want to talk just for a minute about like a couple of your other courses too, because they've been super popular. The triad targets, the soloing and especially the rhythm one. It's been just really a popular subject. And I guess it's because rhythm is so important, but a lot of guys don't know what to do with it. How do they they're just strumming bar chords and doing whatever. But when you break it down like that with the triads, that's some pretty awesome stuff you have in there. How do you think about that when you're playing? When you're applying that to your own stuff, are you view the guitar like that with triads when you're going up and down with rhythm stuff?
Yeah, well, music is, I mean, triads are just chords that are smaller, essentially. And I feel, at least as a guitar player, when we're first taught how to play chords and big shapes, we're taught like to utilize as many strings as possible. But when you're playing with other people, and just in general, there's a lot more information by saying less with your chord voicings. And yeah, I think triads are super important in regards to that. They're important for like just expanding on the fretboard and understanding where everything is, and just realizing really we're just taking the same thing and flipping it over and over again. We're just repeating ourselves. Like we're endlessly repeating ourselves. That's what it is. That's like the hack. So it's great for that. I definitely, I can't say that like in the moment I'm like, oh, I better do a triad, but like it's just what happens naturally, It's what all musicians that are playing chords and rhythm, when you're breaking your chords down and you're inverting them into smaller variations, no matter whether you like to admit it or not, yeah, you're using a triad.
Absolutely. Love it. Good stuff. Yeah, those are great courses. They, people really, they seem to really resonate with those courses.
Yeah. I'm
No,
glad. I mean,
no,
it's like
really
real,
well.
like, playing songs is like rhythm. It's not always
Yeah.
about playing lead. It's
Yeah,
most of the time
yeah.
it's not about playing lead. It's about
Right.
holding it down. So I'm glad that people have gravitated to like some of the more rhythm based comping courses. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, guys, it's a good question for everybody. It's always interesting to see what different musicians really listen to and cue into. What do they really want to have the most in their monitor mix? What are you really listening to? So let's go, each one of you. Julian, talk about that. What's your, when you're jamming, you guys are playing.
Mhm.
What are you really dialing into?
I guess I don't know. I'm trying to listen to everything. I'm definitely spending a lot of time listening to the drummer and trying to lock in with the drums. That's probably maybe I feel like the most important thing, just making it feel really good with the drums. But I'm trying to listen to everything and, anticipate, I guess, what the musicians are playing and, get out of the way if I can feel like, something is like a guitar player is going to play a fill or something. I'm trying to get out of the way and, stuff like that. Just try and be like really, yeah, I guess sensitive to the other musicians, what's going on. And yeah, listening, I think, is the key. Just like really like listening, making sure you're always listening, not to
Nice.
yourself, but to everyone.
Everybody else, yeah. How
Yeah.
about you, John? What do you like to hear when you're playing? What do you really try to cue into?
Yeah, I definitely echo a lot of things that Julian said. I think I've been trying to have kind of I have some click, and then I'll have kind of a mix of everything. But I've been trying to have it a little more quieter lately. But I think usually it's probably like, oh, my connection. Can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I think, but I like kind of a blend of everything. And then, yeah, like Julian said too, but probably a little bit more of the bass than anything else.
Gotcha. Awesome. Ariel, how do you like to hear things? You want to hear the whole even mix, or do you really dial into something?
Same what these guys said. I mean, drums or rhythm section is everything. How it feels is everything. So I'm just trying to find I feel like this sounds so whatever. This sounds lame, but this is like music's a canvas, and everyone has like one little blotch on there that they're trying to make their like they have their own space that they're trying to take up. But like with a rhythm section, it's so important to just like find your space in it, and it's not about one person. It's a joint effort, and the rhythm section is like the core of it all. So I'm just trying to exist in it and not screw it up and not make it worse. And it involves really listening to the guys and not overplaying, not doing too much, just doing what's needed to help elevate and help make things feel good. But like a good rhythm section is basically doing all the work, so it makes your life a lot easier. It's for mine in this case, so I'm grateful for that. But for anyone out there, I think like really lean on your rhythm section and just trust them,
Yeah, very cool, very cool. So because you're playing as a trio, does it change for you, Ariel, if you play with, more instruments, if you play in a bigger, ensemble? I mean, or how does that, factor into what you're listening for and how you're sort of playing? And do you prefer to play, less is more? Do you prefer a trio?
Yeah, I love the trio. We've played a lot of times with like another guitar player, with a keyboard player, other backup singers, and it's all great when you get to add other people. But a lot of people tend to shy away from the space. Like people tend to be not scared, but feel uncomfortable with that amount of space. And I embrace it. I think having that much space, especially like just these guys just play the right thing every time. They just know they're just the best. They know what to do. And no, I'm serious. And it allows the space to feel like it's natural, and it's supposed to be empty when it's supposed to be empty. It's full when it's supposed to be full. And most of the time when we add someone else into the mix, it doesn't disrupt the thing we have going on, but it's an adjustment because we're not used to having an extra voice in there. And it really has to just be arranged. So anytime we've had someone, I think I've really had to like, hey, this is the part from the record. Can you just we're not like just sit in and jam and play whatever kind of band. Whenever we've had that, it doesn't always work as well. But when someone comes in and serves the song, plays the actual part, then it's great. But yeah, the space is great. It really it's all about dynamics, and it really lets you have peaks and valleys with your volume and your dynamics and everything. Yeah.
Nice. Well, we've got a good question about tone. Says Ariel, your tone is always fantastic. Would you ever consider modeling the core of your sound for someone like Neural or Mixwave? Do you use any modelers or plugins?
Or just like modeling, like
well, that's this next question. That's the follow-up, Julian.
Well, if anyone needs me on the runway, I'm available. Just let me know. I would totally consider it. I mean, I know the guys at Neural, they're really nice. I use some of their stuff at the studio, and the Mixwave guys are great. I have their plugins. They just did a 2Rock plugin, which is the amp I use all the time. If it made sense, I would totally be into it. I'm definitely an amp guy, like an old school guy. I think we live in a time where it's never been better. These modelers, like they just sound and naturally feel so good. And I think that's the thing that has been lacking. Like when the 11 rack came out, and like even when the Kemper first started, like it's everything has gotten so much better now. Not to like throw shade on those things, but they were the ones that kind of paved the way. So if the opportunity came up and it felt right and it made sense, I'd probably be open to it. Why not?
Yeah, sounds great. We'll look forward to that.
Modeling too. I mean,
modeling, right? Either if somebody calls for modeling, hey, you got to take the work when you can get it, right?
Yeah. President's Choice catalog, or sorry, that's a Canadian thing. Sears catalog or Walmart.
So someone was saying that they were struck by how easily they recognize your vibrato. Your vibrato is unique and memorable. So let's follow that up with what would you suggest for players to work on the vibrato? I mean, what's a good way to approach that if you were going to, give someone some advice to get better at vibrato?
I think if you want to get better at your vibrato, you got to. I mean, there's the whole technical thing of actually ergonomically how you do it, but I was just also having this conversation with someone today. Is you have to, when you're playing something may feel like it is in your head, and when you listen to it, it's not quite that. And you have to merge the two of how something actually feels and how it sounds when you're, So I feel like everyone gets the concept of vibrato, and like having a relaxed fretting hand and whatnot is important. Or if you're doing with the slide, it's important too. But just, I think, record yourself as much as you can and listen back and try different levels of vibrato, and think of it like a singer. Singers have all these different ranges of vibrato intensity, and we need to treat it the same way when we play an instrument. And it's like looking in the mirror. You just got to have self-awareness of how any of your techniques in that moment sound. So try recording yourself, like nothing fancy. You don't have to be on a DAW. Just like pull out your phone, voice memo or whatever, and just record yourself practicing and listen back and dial it in, you know?
Yeah. Great advice. Great advice.
And that was a really fun jam with Chris Masterson. I saw the comment. That was last weekend.
Yeah.
At our show. Yeah. From the Wallflowers. Such a great guitar player.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So I think it's about time for another song. We've went through some stuff here. So let's hear another tune. If we got another tune pulled up. I think this was maybe one you said you really dug. Let's see if it's, Yes.
Let's
check this out. Yeah, love it. Love it.
Fun.
Nice. Let's talk about that guitar tone and that effect. Let's give us a little info on there.
Yeah, that's an octave, little octave fuzz there. That's my friend Scott McKeon's. He has his own little brand of pedals called SM Fuzz. And it's like the octave fuzz sound on that pedal. Sounds great. Sounds so like, it almost sounds like a synth at times, depending how you play it. It's a fun pedal.
Yeah.
That jam, actually, I pulled it up here on my phone. Can you hear that? So we called it Rotterdam Jam, I think, or Rotterdam something, because we're literally sound checking at our show in Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and we just started playing that. And so many times, like we were talking about with Shane earlier, just messing around in sound check with an idea, we all start playing, like not thinking about it. Sometimes I just have like I should like just put my phone on and record this, who knows. And that was one of those perfect examples where hey, we found a good use for it, you know.
Yeah, thank goodness you did. It was a great groove. So we got a question from someone who's a beginner. They're a beginner, but they feel like they're terrible using a pick compared to playing with just their fingers, because they can really feel the strings, and they're worried if that's the way they should do it. So give us your thoughts on that, Ariel, who plays well in many ways.
I think everything is pretty tough at the beginning. Guitar's hard enough. Any instrument is tough enough, and just holding a pick and playing, just getting it under your fingers takes a while. I know it sounds cliche, but you need to practice more. Just make sure you're spending a little bit of time. I guarantee you that it's something you can adapt to and make part of your arsenal. However, there's a lot of great guitar players out there that never use a pick. They just use their fingers for rhythm, for everything, and they make it work just fine. That's kind of in the personal artistic choice, personal preference field. I think to start off, it's going to benefit you to dial in the pick playing. And with anything on an instrument, just start slow. Whatever you're working on, maybe get a metronome, put on a groove, like put on one of Jon's tracks from this course if you want. Just slow it down or whatever, and just like play in time and just get it going in time. Don't rush. Don't play anything fast. Just get it feeling good, and it eventually will feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. Great advice. And you do both. Or do you prefer doing slide with your fingers, playing with your fingers, or with a pick if you were going to play that?
I prefer slide with the fingers because it sounds a bit warmer.
Mm-hmm.
And I can mute on this hand
Right.
easier. And it's warmer. I just like the sound of it with the fingers better. It just sounds, to my ears, in my head, it feels better to me and sounds better to me. But there's nothing wrong with the pick. That's just what I do.
Yeah. Awesome. We got a couple more questions. Another question: if the rock slide is digging into the pinky joint a bit, is it too tight? if you're
I don't think so. Like, it just probably means, I'm just like looking at I think it means that you're just doing this a lot. Maybe it means that it's too tight. If you got like big fingers, maybe it's too small on you, that specific one. Might be worth trying some different sizes, I guess.
Yep.
But like, it shouldn't be digging in to skin super hard. No.
That's not what we're looking for. So we don't want that. All right, so here's a good question. What's your advice on guitar ruts and stopping endless noodling? How often do you work on fundamentals?
These days, not enough. These days, not enough. I'm not saying that I'm above it, anything. I'm not. But there's only so much time in a day now, and a lot of that time gets spent writing, recording, or just emailing people, or doing stuff that has nothing to do with music at all. And when I do have time to practice, I feel like my practice is just playing, trying to stay in shape, trying to, keep my conditioning up. That being said, and I know the other guys will say the same thing. Like there was a time in all of our lives when we were younger, when the shedding and the practicing, the fundamentals, the everything, the 10,000 hours were spent for sure. But that does not mean that you can stop putting the work in. It never ends, because you never settle. You always want to get better. You always want to improve. And sometimes life is just busy. So you have to just, keep the conditioning up to where you can, rather than like always feeling like you need to just level up to a new thing. So finding a balance of all that is what I try to do these days. And when I do have time to really lock into something and feel inspired to take something new on and really get better at it, I just put my head down and do it. It's that I just don't even think about it. I don't know about you guys, but
yeah. I kind of go through, I get really inspired and then I'll start practicing a lot. But it kind of comes in waves. I'll get inspired. I'll just start shedding like I did when I was a kid and just discovered the bass again. But it just,
that's the best.
Kind of comes and goes, but it comes back all the time. So yeah.
Nice. How about you, Jon?
Yeah, I think the same is true for me. Yeah, if I get inspired by something or want to learn a certain groove, yeah, it's getting ready for a gig that can be like really good motivation. And then, but it's nice to come back to just learning a groove or something too. So yeah, definitely goes in waves. But yeah, different than when you were younger for sure.
Yeah, so many things different from when we were younger. Um, so here's a question, when you're in the van, what's your most recent go-to album you're listening to? What are you guys listening to when you're cruising out on tour? What's the current thing you're listening to?
I think it depends who's driving. That's everyone's got different. You guys go first. I think as a band, we've had some favorite records that we've spent a lot of time spinning, like the Yeba record.
Kendrick.
That second, the second to last Kendrick record. We've had a big Paramore phase.
Mhm.
What else?
Yeah.
I feel like when we started touring again post COVID, you guys were listening to that Dijon record, which I'm now just getting into.
Mhm. Yeah.
You guys were really into that record.
Yeah.
What else? What else you guys? I'm trying to think.
I'm blanking. We weren't listening to it in the band, but I know we were just talking about, we were all listening to the Doechii Tiny Desk and the album. So that one comes to mind right now. Not
It is funny
necessarily
how
a
we
band
kind
one
of
yet.
somehow end up syncing up on the same records.
I know.
It's kind of interesting.
I mean, it's a mixture of like syncing up and a mixture of like sometimes one of us like finds something and texts it to everyone and be like, "Have you guys heard this yet?" Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a definite sync on like just music taste. I feel like we all have wide ranges of taste in music, but we all are aligned for so much of it too, that we all love so much of the same stuff. And even if there's something maybe one of us isn't as much into, everyone's very open with like listening to music. I feel like everyone's just always down for something. Even I feel like I remember once on tour, I forget where we were. It was so much fun. It was the four of us with our sound tech Manny, and we just went in turns. Everyone was like a DJ it was actually like, it was a great way to like kill 2 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
But we all took turns just like spinning a random song. Didn't have to like tie into the previous song. And it was just such a beautiful thing. I love that.
Yeah, it's the best. That's so fun.
Nice. Is there anything that is way out there that one of you really likes and the others just can't quite get into?
Probably.
Yeah.
I feel like a couple of years ago, one of my best friends and oldest friends joined us on tour, and we were like going through all our music that we listened to when we were like, like 20 years ago or even more. And I feel like we put on the Limp Bizkit, and Julian and Jon were just there kind of like, yeah, great. They were just tolerating it. I mean, we were just listening to it for fun,
Yeah.
We weren't like, be like, you guys, isn't this insane, guys? Like, oh. They're great. Nothing against them, but like,
For some reason it was like Rage Against the Machine. That did it for me, but I never got into Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, it's a generational thing. You have to be like that, right? You had
Right
to be
age.
13 in 1999, basically.
Be the right cross section of age and time, and boom, there it was.
That's right.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Exactly.
It's
Awesome. Well, guys, once again, everybody, thanks to everybody for tuning in tonight. You really should check this In the Jam out. And once again, all of Ariel's courses are great, but this new In the Jam is so cool. You've been seeing bits and pieces of it. Once again, you can get in there, you can adjust the mix, you can solo something up, you can mute something, you can play with a couple different a couple different instruments. You can basically go in and watch the different video angles of the different musicians, which is really cool. So something that for me, you know, I play around with our in the jams. That's one of my favorite things to do that we have at TrueFire, is to be able to just go in and experiment, because it's like what you always want to do every time you hear a record or watch a video. I feel like I want to get in there and make it the way I want to hear it, you know. So you can do that within the jam. So check it out if you have not. Go to TrueFire, check out all of Ariel's stuff, and tell us where they can find you, Ariel, online to check out everything else you do. Your music is amazing. So where do you want to send folks?
Thank you. You can go to my website, which is arielposen.com. And from there, you could find all the social medias, which I'm at Ariel Posen on everything. So I'm really, if you know how to spell my name, then I'm really easy to find. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the things. I'm there. I'm pretty easy to find. So come join, come see us at a show, come see us on the road. We're going to be announcing a lot more dates very soon. There's going to be a lot more music, new music to come. It's going to be a fun year. So join us.
Yes. You know? Yes. Come along for the ride, everybody. Well, thank you guys for being here. From all of us at TrueFire, everybody at TrueFire, you know, loves you guys. When you came down, it was just talked about from everybody at the studio, and everybody always loves you coming down, Ariel. And you know, you're always welcome to come down and do more stuff. So for Tommy in the studio and Mr. Shane, thank you guys. And let's play a track. We got a track we can play and jam out here on. But thank you guys. Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for having us, guys. Always a pleasure. Never a chore. Love it. Great to see you all.
See you, Ariel. See you guys.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.